Madness. Common network.
Fairview's coffee has mysteriously gone missing. Mayhem ensues when strange, coffee-craving zombies plague the city. Detective Mickey Potatoes, an overworked public servant, uncovers why ordinary citizens are losing their minds and how to stop the coffee apocalypse. But it involves the mafia. And when you're dealing with mafia crime families, nothing is ever easy. The mafia controls everything in the city, including the police, including him. If he breaks the mafia, they will break him. So, the city is without coffee. The city is burning before his very eyes, but he's powerless. Detective Potatoes has the power to stop the coffee apocalypse, but if he does, he could lose everything.
Hey, yo!
It's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some.
All right. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Good. Yeah, we're good, man. You feel so far away.
What?
You feel so far away.
Yeah, here, let me get up a little closer there.
Oh man. So everybody, welcome to RomoArt again. Romo, Uncle Mike, and our special guest, Matt Boyce, who is my very, very good friend and the co-creator of Sector 7. And Matt has been Matt's been killing himself working on his masters and finishing it up, and tonight's the night, right? This is the last day.
More or less.
Kind of.
Yeah. Today was the last day of like class. I don't have to show up anywhere else. Now it's just about finishing up this horrid portfolio. So just been working on that and trying to finish that up.
When is that due?
It's not due until Tuesday, but I really would love to be completely done with it by tomorrow, just because it's been such a journey that I just want it to be over. I'm going to try and get it finished up by tomorrow so I can just relax on Sunday and not have to worry about anything else.
Yeah. Have you been working still too?
Yes, although not steadily, because for whatever reason, this university expects that you can simply devote your entire life to an unpaid like internship type program for like 2 weeks. So it's been kind of difficult to maintain some sort of work while doing this, and but I've been trying to work while in the midst of it and try to take a few minutes here and there for myself, but that hasn't been easy.
Yeah. Man, it'll be nice when you're done, man. It'll be nice when you're done.
I know. I keep looking at I keep checking those little boxes and getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And it's like I don't want to do this. I'm mentally checked out. I'm very, very tired.
Yeah. Oh, dude, me this week, I tell you, I did. So last weekend I did the cover for T Bunny.
Yeah.
So that was like the cover I had promised him before I got my injury, which is actually pretty much lighting on fire as we speak. It's really painful for some reason right now.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm just from here and then every joint, like down to right there is where, oh man, it's fire. I got his cover done last weekend, and I'm working on, I'm going to finish the third page for Chris tonight. So I was able to do basically a cover in 3 pages this week, which I've never done in my life. I've never done that much artwork. Like the pages for Chris were a little simpler because they were dialogue pages. They weren't like heavy detailed action pages, but still,
sure.
Still 3 pages in a cover is pretty good work.
Yeah, it is.
But I haven't been, this week I haven't been sleeping. I'm up 2 or 3 times a night. I'm exhausted too. Like I came home and I slept from the time I came home to dinner. I got like a 20-minute nap. I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely fucking exhausted, dude.
I'm right there with you, man. I just and the pressure, because as much as I want Sector 7 to succeed as much as anybody.
Sure, baby.
But, right, but at the same time, the being able to continue my career is going to keep the door open to funding dreams and stuff like that. So this was just such a monumental. I'm on the very last task of all of this, and I have the least amount of energy. I personally, I've been pretty critical of the university too. Like, I think the way that it's set up is just kind of weird. Like, it felt like we were doing a lot of busy work when we could have been doing assignments that we could have been building the portfolio as we went. And that could have been assigned work, because if you're assigning a mountain of work that is tedious and boring, which is exactly like what they're teaching us not to do to our students as so like every rule they're teaching us, they're breaking throughout this entire process. And then so they're not practicing what they preach, and yet they could also at the same time they could really build like the portfolio into the curriculum in such a way that it doesn't feel overwhelming at the end. And humans are humans. 99% of them, they don't start it when we first learn about it. We don't even learn about it at the very beginning. It's several months into the program that we first start even thinking about it. And I say start it at the beginning, build your curriculum around completing this portfolio and demonstrate. And then by the time you get to the end, it's practically done, and you don't have to like freak out about it and do it at the same time as like the other nonsense internship that you're doing.
Someone should have told us to do that with the YouTube channel. Build the YouTube channel from the beginning, and then when you launch your comic, your audience will already be there, right?
Yeah. It's a weird concept. I feel like I just feel like it's unfortunate that you can't just put out a good product and people will take interest in it, that you have to get people interested in you first. And that's been a weird culture shock. I'm still working out.
Me too, man. Me too. Yeah, but that's why I'm doing this, and that's why we're here, and we're just going to keep doing it. I've said multiple times, like it doesn't really bother me that it's not jumping out at people, because that's our fault. It's my fault, because I'm the comic guy. I just didn't know the indie world. I really didn't. And everything's backwards here. It's a different audience. It's a different way of marketing.
It's my fault too. I noticed people in the kaiju community. I expected them to, or I thought, I shouldn't say it's not like I expected them to show out in droves.
Well, it's really good, but it's okay. That being said, Sector 7 is freaking good. It's okay. The art's amazing, and I know that no one knows the writing yet, because that's just not how this works.
Sure.
But the writing's really good. The story, at least we know for a fact, the story is intriguing. It's very different.
Right.
The artwork's very original. So we have a product that's really good, and that you did expect the community to jump at.
I think once upon a time,
rightly so.
I think once upon a time they would have. I think now more than ever, we have so much kaiju content that is being released. It really is. I mean, fans can only be expected to shell out so many, of their expendable dollars towards this stuff. They have other interests, and there's never been a time like this that I can recall with giant monsters in the U.S. where there's a steady stream of not just mainstream Godzilla comics. You have multiple series happening on Netflix. Godzilla. I mean, in the past 5 years, you've had 2 different film series going on. In Japan and America, of course, you have the anime series. You have the anime films. For better or worse, with those. Pacific Rim: The Black came out. You've got the new Gamera anime. You've had 2 seasons of the Ultraman anime. Like, there is, and that's just the video stuff. There is so much content coming out that I think it's an amazing time to be a kaiju fan. I just think that the time to where this would have gotten that massive amount of attention was probably somewhere around 10 years ago, just before that 2014 Godzilla film.
Yeah. But it's funny because 10 years ago, because I mean, this project did start quite a while ago, before I got married and kids, and before the timing to actually create it worked out, to fully create it. We started creating it, it was a while ago. It was years ago, and back then, I think back then we would have been saying there's just not enough eyes on the kaiju community. You know what I mean? If we were having this, so now there's too many eyes, and now there's not. Back then there's not enough eyes, and it's like, it's just one of those things, man. It's just the product's there, and it's really good. I've actually had, I've had some ideas on how to structure certain things for us going forward, and I want to talk to you about that. Not live. I don't want to give anything away.
Sure.
But I definitely got ideas on how to do this again and how to do future projects in a way that what I'm trying to do, the main thing for me is what I'm trying to do is get around that $15 to $20 price mark. Because for newer guys and for newer content in general, I've said it before. If you took $50 and walked into an old school comic shop, you could buy roughly 10 to 15 comics. You take the same $50 and you go on Fund My Comic or Indiegogo, and you can buy roughly 2.
Right.
So the math just doesn't work, right? The math is horrible. But we're on our own. We don't have corporate this and that. I mean, we have to charge what we have to charge. So I'm trying to figure out a way around that, and it might take a little bit longer, but it would actually produce steady content with a nice payoff at the end. So you're not waiting. I'll talk to you about it. I may have figured something out, and I'm not going to run it by anybody, because every time I do, I get told all the reasons why it won't work, and they're valid reasons. I'm not saying that people are like just being negative. They're valid reasons, right? But I've got to just do something, and if I wait for a group of people to say, yeah, that's the idea, it's probably going to be too late. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I got to talk to you about how I want to structure things in the very near future. Chris's book is going really well, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. If I'm going to immediately jump into issue number 2 after issue number 1 is done, I don't know. I haven't had that conversation with Chris yet. Chris is actually going to be on the show Monday. I asked him if he'd like to come on and kind of tell his story. He has a really nice backstory, and kind of introduce what's coming in Nano 13. So that'll be Monday's video. But yeah, me and you, once this Masters is done, I got to get together and go over the business, the number side of things. And I think you're gonna like what I have in mind to kind of get around this price mark.
Okay.
And get people willing to just shell out a few bucks here and there, and then maybe $20 later. Okay. So
yeah. I
do think it'll be good. And if the structure works for us, it could be a new structure going forward for a lot of indie creators. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely open to any ideas at this point. We could use some.
Yeah. So, oh man. So the new Godzilla, dude, I love the design. Obviously you love the design. He's right behind you.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if there's anything about it I haven't maybe I could nitpick. I don't even think I could. The new design is freaking phenomenal, dude. What do you think this is going to be like?
I'm right now I'm getting the vibe that it will be a solo outing for him again. I don't get the impression yet that there's another monster involved.
No, me either. I know.
I could be wrong, but I think they're trying to reset their universe a little bit. I think Shin Godzilla was a huge success for them, and well, it was a huge success for them, and I think they want to go with that, but they want something that represents a more traditional Godzilla, and that wasn't it.
No, it wasn't. That was not it. Oh my God.
No. So actually, I absolutely love the design. It's obviously, it's actually been a long time coming. The director first kind of had a Godzilla cameo in a film he did, back in, I want to say it was like 2007-ish or something like that. It's escaping me at the moment. But he had Godzilla sort of have a cameo in his film. And then, of course, later on, he designed Godzilla for the ride, which is at a theme park in Japan. And, of course, there's this 4D virtual ride and a very similar design to what we're seeing, shows up in that. And then, of course, the one we're seeing now. And I just think it's phenomenal design. It's it has a very classic look about it, kind of combining some of the best elements of the 90s, with some more modern aesthetics and the large spines on the back. Everyone kind of compares them to the early 2000s, and you can get that kind of vibe. But to me, they remind me actually.
I think they're bigger. I mean,
I think they are.
Spines I've seen.
Yeah, they're some of the largest ones I've seen, but they're not as like jagged or blade like. They're jagged, but they're not. The other one almost had they looked like blades to some extent.
They had a smoother sculpt to it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And these look really really cool. And it actually reminds me of the old NES game, because if you really stop and look at the sprite,
you're right, man.
That NES game has a gigantic set of spines on his back.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So I'm really happy with the design. I think it looks phenomenal. I love the Shin Godzilla movie, but I'm glad it seems to be one and done.
I'm glad it's a one-off. I can't even watch it because you know how I feel about the design. I don't even call it Godzilla to me. There are parts of that movie I can't even look at because I just get grossed out. It was definitely
off-putting, and I appreciated parts of it. I thought, in fact, I remember having this argument before the film released was when I saw the arms on it. It's really specifically like I didn't mind the arms; they just needed to be bigger, and I was certain that he was regenerating from something. Like I was almost. I remember fighting tooth and claw for that. Oh, his arms are going to get bigger, and he's going to look more normal, and it's going to look awesome. And then I was wrong, and the design, the arms throw everything about that design off.
I think the design throws everything about that design off.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
It is very off-putting.
The jaw coming out, it's just at some point you cross too many lines to where it's just not Godzilla. It's just be something else. It's okay.
Right. And yeah, I could do without mouths on the tail shooting lasers and back lasers and I could do without tail people. I can do without all that stuff. It really, that movie would have been amazing without those things.
Yeah.
In fact, I would argue it might even be better without those things. I'm fine. You can keep the rest of the design, slap some bigger arms on there, get rid of those goofy things, and I'd be okay with it.
So is this new one going to be CGI, or is this going to be a mixture? What is this one going to be?
From what I've seen, it looks complete CG. I don't expect that they're going back to practical effects, at least not anytime soon. I think that I think that this looks phenomenal so far as their CG goes. Not and even on par with a lot of stuff. Of course, the stuff in America nowadays coming out isn't on par with what America used to put out.
Oh, it's garbage. It's really bad. I mean, I actually did. Flash has been out now long enough to where people have posted the action scenes like on YouTube, and even hearing everyone say how bad the effects were, I was really shocked. Really, really shocked at how bad the effects were. Especially the scene where he's saving the babies that are falling out of the hospital building. I would have, I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe they made money on some back end deal through a tax write off or something. I don't know, but that movie wasn't done. Like, it literally, those effects were only 3/4 of the way done. It was pathetic, really bad.
Yeah.
To the point of being, it was really shameful. It was honestly shameful.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter and was kind of praising the one scene where Keaton's Batman kind of swoops down and deflects a bunch of bullets with his cape, and then there's some cool choreography, and it's decent, but it's
I like that dark too. Yeah,
it's really dark, and it's okay, but it's not anything I haven't seen before. And they were like going off. I'm like, is this really our standard now? I was like, There was some really poor CGI effects in a really dark setting to mask how bad it looked. Yep. And then, it had some decent choreography, but I'm like, is that all we have to get super excited about? Like,
the thing that sucks though is, like, I agree that scene was really cool, but the scene was around maybe a minute long, where, like, so you had one really cool scene with Keaton doing some cool stuff, but fights like the warehouse fight scene in Batman v Superman, almost unarguably the best Batman fight ever filmed. That warehouse scene was I watch it to this day, almost every other day. It's one of my favorite random action scenes to just put on and watch Batman beat the shit out of a bunch of guys in a warehouse. So that is a proper fight scene. That's multiple people, minutes long, and for what Keaton did in that 30 seconds was really cool, but it was only 30 seconds. And it's like, okay, and then there was no more. And then the big scenes they gave to us literally unfinished. It's just I've never seen a movie do that. I've seen movies with bad effects, but they were finished bad effects. That's the best they could do. That's their budget. You know what I mean? They're not supposed to be good. That movie is a top studio movie. And I mean, I've never seen in the history of cinema a top studio movie, Warner Brothers, throw out a movie that's just unfinished and say, fuck it. I mean, and I'm not even going to watch the movie. Michael Keaton was really all I wanted to see. I despise Ezra Miller. So, and now you're going to give me two of them? No,
right.
I don't want one of them. One of them is way too much for this world.
Yeah.
So
I was really I don't get, like, I'm curious, like, Ezra Miller, to me, I don't enjoy watching anyway. Like, it's really bizarre. I would, in any other context, I would probably actively avoid watching him act because there's something just off-putting about him to me anyway. Like,
he has a face I want to punch. I don't know. He just has a punchable face. I don't, whether he deserved it or not before I knew what he was like, which obviously now he completely deserves it.
Right.
But I just don't like his face. I feel the same way.
Yeah, like I hate to say it like that, but yeah, it's just there is something about it that I really don't enjoy watching anything that he does. And yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about him. And then you have, just this I don't know, then all the other crazy stuff he's been involved with. And it's like
Yeah.
who said, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward with this. Like someone actually sat there and said, yeah, this is a good idea.
Multiple times, by the way, multiple times. Because imagine the stuff that he did is what came out at the time, but it's not like he just became that person overnight. So I'm sure they had years of his shenanigans that we don't even know about.
Right.
We've never even heard of. But they were all. But the Flash movie is actually so old that that he was doing shit while they were filming it 7 years ago.
Right.
Or however, like it was being filmed like around the time, like right after Batman v Superman. The film is old. It was supposed to be out years ago. So
it's wonder how bad Batwoman or Batgirl or whatever it was had to be to just straight up not get released.
I forget about that.
I forget about that. This garbage.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What had to be in that movie?
Just vomit on a plate, dude. That's it. That's it, man. Ugh. Horrible. No, I know. Yeah. I can't believe we're talking about the Flash movie. Who gives a shit? Wow. Who cares about? Well, we're talking about special effects.
We were talking about special effects, and this Godzilla movie kind of bringing us back to where we started. I love the tone of the trailer. I hope they actually kind of keep it. I know it's hard to maintain a dark tone throughout the whole film without it just being like terribly depressing. But I like the tone. If it's a solo film, great. If it's
I wouldn't even say it has a dark tone. I'd say it has a serious tone.
Yeah, you're right.
If you take a serious tone, you can have the ebbs and flows in a serious film. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I like that it's excuse me. There's that yawning coming out.
There's that Masters coming to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, I know. I do like that they kind of go with that, and it just it's a period piece. It's set around World War II, and I'm excited to see what they do with that. They've never really, they've often gone to the future for inspiration, but they've never really gone to the past, and this will be really, I think,
there's a lot I want to see. Yeah, it makes me. Yeah, there's a whole. They set it up completely differently, which is what we did with Sector 7.
Right.
Like, our post-apocalyptic world isn't a shattered world. It's beautiful.
Right.
Like, we set it up. We set Sector 7 up in a way that's very, very unique to most comic books when it comes to a post-apocalyptic view of things.
I agree. Yeah, it's really interesting to me, actually. And it's those kind of like thinking, like, you don't have to give Godzilla people coming out of his tail to come up with a new idea.
Yeah.
And
that was the Zack Snyder version. That was the Snyderverse Godzilla.
And I actually, I have a soft spot for Zack because of Watchmen, but yeah, I get what you mean. What's funny is I actually, I think that's part of the problem everywhere, though, is that they think that to tell a new story, you have to change everything about the old stuff because no one wants. It's like, no, there's still good stories to be told with these characters. We haven't exhausted all of them. Like, you could just.
Which is surprising. It's really surprising. It really says something about imagination that after this many years, decades, that you can still come up with unique ways of telling a story. It's unbelievable. Superhero, monster, it doesn't matter. Like, the imagination is unbelievable for humans.
It really is. It's pretty amazing. And but then I think we've reached this point where, like, everything tries to jump the shark, and it's just like, no, stop. Like, we have this like addiction to sensory overload. Like, I don't know, like we gotta just kind of reset a little bit and learn how to tell good stories again, set within like we have great characters. Let the characters be who they are.
Yeah.
And you can, of course, make little adjustments here and there and things like that. That's okay, but it's got to make sense for that character, and it's got to be something that really makes sense for the audience. Like, again, I think Shin Godzilla was an excellent movie, and that's why it gets away with a lot of the things that it did. But
it had to be, I can't even watch it, but I'm not saying it's a bad movie because I can't watch it. It had to be a really good movie to get away with changing. So I think you hit it right on the head. In order to have a beloved character changed so much, but the movie still be loved, I think says volumes about the writing of the story.
Right. Yeah, I think it does too. And just the way it could have been worse. And honestly, maybe we'd view it differently if we didn't have Godzilla 98, because we've already seen about as far as you can take that concept of like, let's just completely ignore like the entire history of a character. But I think it was still enough of the DNA of Godzilla was in that film to really make it successful. Like, yes, it was different, yes, it was weird, definitely not something I was always comfortable with as far as the changes they made, but it was still enough of Godzilla that it was familiar and recognizable. And obviously Godzilla 98, or Zilla as we now call him, was not. It was, I think I like the monster in Godzilla 98, but it wasn't Godzilla.
It wasn't Godzilla. I know. That's, the way I write characters, the way I look at telling stories with classic characters, and I'm sure you're the same way without even having heard this, but Alex Ross years ago said to tell stories with classic characters like Superman, it's not about changing Superman. The base of Superman stays the same. You can change the world around him. You can change what world he's on. You can change anything you want around the character to make the story new and interesting, but you don't change the character. The original character finds his way in the new environment.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what they don't do. Like, for some reason, there was Superman Rebirth. So all the DC Rebirth that came out, maybe it's been already like 7 years, which is insane to me, but I think it was like 2016 that the DC Rebirth came out. The Superman, to me, those were the first Superman books, and I've been collecting since I was like in 7th grade. But I never collected Superman. I didn't really like the writing that much, even though it was my favorite character. Those were the first Superman books I collected, and it has a special spot for me because I had just had Clark, and Superman now has the sun. It really hit me in a special way, of course.
Right.
But Dan Jurgens, who's like basically, he did Superman in the 90s. Dan Jurgens is like Mr. Superman, but he seems to be the only one that can freaking write Superman, and it's really weird. Like, no one else. I keep, once he leaves the book, I tried to stay with the book. I've tried to stay through different writers. It's not the same. And I get that people say Superman is hard to write. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I know that when you write him well, it's so enjoyable to read. It's so good. And I mean, Batman's a little bit easier to write than Superman. I can see that, but it can be done because Dan Jurgens just did a great run during Superman Rebirth, and I couldn't get enough. I absolutely loved those books. And then I think it was Bendis that took over after. Maybe it was either right after Jurgens or there was like a space, and then Brian Bendis came in and destroyed the whole thing. I mean, and I loved Bendis from way back in when Bendis was basically writing all of Marvel in the early 2000s. I'm a huge Bendis fan. I don't know what happened. I think he just wrote himself into oblivion. He absolutely destroyed Superman. I mean, it was the worst. It was almost unreadable. And
Wow.
it was heartbreaking. And I tell you, it was actually heartbreaking. The first thing Bendis did, and Superman had only had his boy for a few years. The first thing Bendis did was take his boy away from him, and then when he comes back, he's like 19 or 20 years old. So totally different character, totally different family dynamic. I was so heartbroken about that. It really was. I could have really enjoyed the Superman and Lois and like 9-year-old Jonathan. I could have enjoyed that for a lot of years. The dynamic was just so beautiful and well written. And Bendis, one of the first fucking things he did was he just took Jonathan, shot him back, and he's like, and then they made him bisexual. That wasn't Bendis, that was someone else.
Yeah,
But-
now he's
Now he's kissing. Who gives a shit? But
Yeah.
I mean, Jurgens really knows how to write Superman, and actually asked him on Twitter. Now I don't think he probably never even saw the comment, but I asked him, please go back to Superman. Like you, no one else can write it but you for some reason. I don't know why. But that is how you don't change the character because then it's not super. Just call it something else. I mean, taking Superman as like a 34-year-old, let's say, with a wife and kid, and then DC restructures their universe, and now Superman's 19. He's got kind of an attitude. You might as well just racially swap him. It's not the same character anymore.
Yeah.
There's no difference to me. Just call it something else now. I don't want to read this broody looking Superman now. It's annoying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about guys feeling like they have to change the original character rather than the environment and things like that. So I wanted to touch on that because I think that was a really good point.
Yeah.
And Superman is, I mean, I get it because it's like it's hard to have drama with a guy that has very few weaknesses, like kind of thing. But it definitely can be done, and I think you just have to give Superman the right personality. It's almost like, well, if you're a Boy Scout, you can't I don't know, have a personality, and I think that's not necessarily the way he should be written. He can be stoic in that at times when it's called for, but I don't know that that's who Superman or Clark Kent is all the time. And I feel like no one's really tried to explore, or maybe they have and I've missed it, but I would like to see them actually write him in a way that is still, the humble, all-American guy that we know, and yet it done in a way that's very entertaining. And I think I think it can be done. I think you can retain both of those elements, but everyone wants to make him Batman. They want to make him darker and edgier and just kind of up the cool factor, because I think as a society it's cooler to be Batman now. It's cooler to be the anti-hero. And I think that's as much
it always has been. It is cooler. Okay. At a certain age bracket, it is objectively cooler to be the bad guy. You know what I mean? But it's also easier. It's also being bad is actually really fucking easy. Just don't be good. because
Right.
good is hard. That's why I respect the good guys. That's why I respect Superman and Captain America. That shit's not easy. And as a person in the world trying to be a good person, there's not a lot of reward in it either. You know what I mean? And I think, yes, bad is cool, but it's also easier. You know, Batman should maybe. I remember Todd McFarlane said, out of between Batman and Spawn, Batman's the crazy one, because Spawn just wants to get back to his wife that he's loved, and he was murdered and had a bad deal with the devil. Batman is rich. He has everything he wants. He's good looking, and he doesn't even care about having a girlfriend. He just wants to go and beat people up. Like I know it's cool, but actually Batman, like, it's easy. Batman is a broken human. Batman is a broken human. That's really what he is. As cool as he is,
Right.
He's like you wouldn't honestly want to be Batman's friend. He's not likable. He doesn't treat the people around him very well, depending on the writer. Depending on the writer, he's even pretty rude to Alfred. You know, so
yeah, you know, it's funny how you say that, because it's like, you're right. Everyone wants to be Batman. No one wants to be Batman's friend.
No, fuck no. No, he's actually an asshole. He really is. And now, yeah, he's cool, but dude, like, that's a lonely life. I don't want to be miserable and dark all the time. You know, when I was 19, that sounded like a good idea, but now I'm 47 and I'm paying for the mistakes I made when I was 19. You know, I should have fucking gotten out of my own head and my own depression more. Not looked up to people like, the characters like Batman, and be dark and brooding. And, you know, it's, as you age, it's funny because the kids, as you're a tiny kid, you like the brighter characters, the Superman and the Spider-Man and the Flash. Like, even Clark likes Flash, and he's not really into superheroes. And then as you age into your teens, you start to like the more hardcore stuff, the bad guys. And then as you get past that, as you mature, you start to go back to the happier to the happier ones again. At least I did. I found myself I
think our generations do. I'm not seeing it even in my own generation as much. Like, I don't, I'm not, I'm 38, but I still see a lot of that in that generation and the younger ones, where we're not growing up. Like, I think that's what it comes down to, is like, we have a couple generations of kids that don't grow up. They hit that brooding teenager phase where everything's about them and the world revolves around them, and in their own mind they're the hero of the story, and like they just become really self-centered adults, and they still idolize that. It's the same reason why you see all the Joker memes on the motivational Joker quotes. Like, you guys are literally slapping like some trite saying on a picture of a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
And a psychopath, and you're spreading that around like that's some standard to aspire to. And
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And it's true. It's true. Like, at some point you've got to get to the point inside mentally where that's just kind of very off-putting to you. You've got to grow past that. And it's a phase that we all go through. It's a phase that I would say, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us that see reality for the shittiness that it can often be, we go through those phases, but you can't get stuck there. You really can't get stuck there. And that's when you start to look more towards the Captain Rogers and more towards the Superman. And you're like, I want to be the best man. And Batman physically and mentally is the best man, but emotionally, he's still 9 years old.
Right. Yeah. And even then it's like,
we're sitting here talking shit about the most popular character in America.
I know, right? Well, it wouldn't be the first time we made some folks.
Yeah.
You know, it's
true.
one of those things where I do. It's and a lot of it's adult men who are either, you know, they would put down Superman. I think a child would think Superman's awesome, like a young child under 10 years old, right? Same thing with wrestling. Like, I know I've brought up this point before, but women and children loved John Cena, right, as a wrestler. He was the ultimate good guy. You know, he came out, he never lost, he was always winning. And all the people that really despised him were like, you know, the 30-something-year-old, you know, internet wrestling community guys. Like, they were just like, oh, he sucks, he can't wrestle, we hate him, and it's like his character's boring. And it's like, you know, I think, I don't know, sometimes I like to root for the good guy. You know, and now granted, did they do a perfect job with him? No, but I think that I think that just culturally we have really gotten away from our heroes being heroes, and we definitely appreciate more of a gray area. And I don't know, as I get older, it's like, well, what type of man do I want to be? What type of man do I hope my sons grow up to be? Yep. And it's not Batman.
It's not. No, it's not Batman. It's not. It's literally it's Captain America or Superman for me, man.
Right.
I mean, my son's name is Clark. You know what I mean? I try to start him off on a good foot. So it's silly me. I made the mistake of naming a daughter Harley before it was cool. You know, now in the years since, she's 12 now, but you know, this was obviously before she was really what I would consider a really super mainstream. I'm not even sure it was like, were the Arkham games even out at that point in 2010? With Harley, yeah, probably at least the first one was. The
Probably.
first one was out way before I even met you.
Was it?
Yeah, it's the first one is old. It is old.
I gotta look this up now. I'm so curious. It's weird how time kind of loses meaning as we get older. Let's see.
Oh, completely. I don't even. I know it's weird, man. Like I'm fucking 47. I'm 47. It's gross. That's just ridiculous to me. 47, pinched nerve, and a gimpy hand. Ugh.
Yeah, we got to get you patched up.
Sucks. It's gonna take time. And I don't think there's an injury. Like the massage therapist was digging into my neck, and it didn't. You know, if I had like a ruptured disc or something, I would have been shooting off the table.
Right.
It's literally just like I'm so fucking tight in right at the base of my neck that it keeps pulling the vertebrae out of alignment, and it's just gonna take time. It sucks. I just can't let this happen ever again, because this month has been. I'm only like, it's even hard for me. Like, I get worried about doing these live streams, to be honest, because I will tell you, for the first half of today, I could barely speak a full sentence, because I'm only half in reality. Like, half my brain is like, ow, ow, ow. And then the other half of my brain is tired from not sleeping. You know what I mean? And it's like, I can't even think straight. How am I going to talk for a fucking hour?
Yeah. We should actually do this regularly. And
I am. Like, I'm here Monday and Friday, and you come on with me Monday and Friday. I don't give a shit. Monday I have Chris, but I mean, after your masters, like, because me and you can just go forever.
We could. Well, we were doing that with the Adventures of Matman and Romo. So
Matman and Romo, yeah.
Maybe that could become its own, because I want you to be able to do your art and to showcase that and to talk about that. And
I will, but the thing is, like, I can only do so much. Like, I have a few pictures that I have recorded in my on Procreate, but again, I got to get Chris's permission. Because the artwork I'm doing isn't mine. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can't just show anything. And then if I was to do something separate from Chris, I start to get nervous because I'm like, okay, I still need to do 2 or 3 pages this week. You know what I mean? It's my schedule is so tight. So I do want to get more into the art part of it, but like, yeah, no, I want you. I honestly, I want you on all the time because it's tough to be here, you know, on your own talking about shit.
And same thing with, you know, the stuff I'm doing on the kaiju side of things, which, you know, we'll see if Pops is still on board with, you know, doing something like that. But I had to devote myself to this.
Of course you did.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's here.
Look,
He's always here.
So
Pops is on board. You want to game stream on and do the game stream on the number? You are more than welcome. You already know that, bro. You just gotta let me know whenever you want to do it. What's that?
absolutely. I'm almost to a point where I can make that a regular priority where I'll have the time to work on some things I want to work on rather than what I have to work on. Because
Right.
this has been just such a stressful experience. Like, you know, and you're finishing up this stuff and you know, trying to, you know, pay attention to kids and cook them dinner and potty train and all that stuff at the same time. And being a single parent while doing that is, you know, I hate to keep pounding that drum, but it's this has not been an easy experience, and I'm just flat out tired. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to doing some more kaiju related stuff. YouTube hasn't been cooperating with me too much on some of the videos we've watched. I was kind of shocked with some of it being completely like public domain at this point.
This is the wonderful thing about going to Roku. When we go to the Roku channel, you be able to play what you want. And if I get that email that says, hey, you can't play that, you got to take it down. Well, it will have already been up for 3 or 4 days anyway. And you basically have made the ad revenue off it that you're going to make. And we'll just send you that recording of that show. And you can turn around and put it up on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else. And just keep being a pain in the ass to one platform after another. Until it's been up for 2 weeks, right?
So we're looking forward to it. I've got some shows in mind to have some other kaiju guests on. You know, hopefully with you know, and with Ron and I, we're gonna have some cool stuff in store. I've got a lot of great ideas to kind of build that side of things, and Ron, of course, on the comic side of things. You know, and we just, and then our stuff together is just gold. Like when we get together and start talking, it's just
it's easy. It really is easy for when we're together. It really is easy for me and you. You know what I mean? It's a lot more fun
for sure.
And now Ron is actually in the studio. His destinations are now actually part of our studio, so he knows how this works. We can bring your destinations in same way, you know, so it goes to you. If you have your own YouTube channel, it'll go to yours too. We can make sure it goes to Ron's, goes to yours, goes to the Madness, everywhere. You know, that's the whole purpose of having this multi-destinational platform, you know, so it can go to Twitch and Twitter and wherever you want it to go, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, we're almost there. And
then once we go to Roku, it won't matter because then we'll just be using those platforms to drive traffic to the Roku channel where we all are monetized on day one, not 2 years from now or 5 years from now, or dependent on how many subscribers we get or watch hours we have. When we start the Roku, we all get monetized on day one and we get paid for our own show's ad revenue.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yep. And that was the nice thing when YouTube started out. You know, it was just, that was the idea, was like anybody could build a brand, and it's like anything else, like the you know, the brave new world becomes the, you know, the institution, and it's now the institution and opportunity.
So now we got to build our own brave new world. That's what the Madness Comic Network on Roku is going to be, our own brave new world.
Yeah.
And, we got a lot of people on board, man, you know, and I'm totally looking forward to it. We will be probably launching the campaign to finance the Roku channel on the 2nd of September, which will be the anniversary of my existence.
Happy birthday.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm completing my 60th term around run around the sun.
Nice.
60th. So, yeah, I'm hitting that. I'm going to be beginning that 6th decade of life on this ball dirt. So
Yeah.
we're gonna launch the campaign on my birthday. We're gonna run it for 2 months so that we finish it up big on Halloween weekend.
Oh, cool.
We might even do a CromCon on Halloween weekend and bring out everybody whose shows are on the network, stuff like that. But we got a little bit of time to plan that. First we gotta get this up. I think Timothy's gonna start on the sign up, get the sign up page up this weekend, and we'll run that for like 3 weeks, and then we're gonna kick it up. So hopefully people get on board, get behind what we're trying to do, because we all need a place to do our shows where we don't have to worry about getting taken down. We don't have to worry about censorship. We don't have to worry about playing the same trailer that they play and getting demonetized over it or something like that, right? It's like, look, if you play something on the Roku network and they send me that email that says I have to take it down, that doesn't mean you don't get paid or you don't get monetized on your next show and your other shows. That doesn't mean you get demonetized. That means, we got to take that one episode down, guys, because
Yeah,
FCA or whatever. It's only for, like, emails from the DMCA are the only ones that we have to pay attention to. And so basically they have to go to a process to come mess with us anyway. At least they're legit if they're actually going through the process to come after you. It's not like Facebook where just anybody can say, "Oh, they stole my music." Dude, I get it on every show on Facebook. They try to mute out audio and say it belongs to somebody else. It's like, man.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, every show.
No shit, really.
Dispute every show, and they forget, and they lift the muting. I win the dispute every time, but they make me dispute it every time.
Oh,
it's standard. And I even say it. Like Matt, quit letting these scammers mess with me, Facebook. I even say that. That's my whole argument. I don't like these guys are scammers and it's this guy and I don't do none of that. I just like quit letting these scammers mess with me, Facebook.
Yeah.
And they lift the dispute right away. Or lift the mute.
I ran into we were watching a show that's available. It's even hosted on YouTube for free. Like, it's not something they charge money for. It's not something they get ads for. Like a private account, not like a corporate account. Like a private YouTube account has hosted episodes of the show, and it's even freely available on archive.org. And they yanked it for copy, and I disputed it, and they still said no, it was valid. So I've got that warning. The only warning we've ever gotten from YouTube, we played a Christmas show that's free to watch on YouTube, and they hit us for it. It's like, wait a minute, they can watch it on this YouTube address, but not this YouTube address?
Yeah.
I'm confused. It's the only warning we've ever gotten. But we aren't monetized. If we were monetized, we'd have that watch bot. And we'd catch a whole bunch more crap than we do. Some of our shows, would never fly. So
I disputed it, but it still didn't fly. So I'm curious, and I even sent them to the link to the other ones that were being hosted. Yeah, and they still didn't care.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's the only warning we've ever gotten, and we couldn't overturn it. It was like, but yeah, forget about it. Just let it go. But yeah, that's the whole purpose behind the Roku, is to eliminate all that kind of crap, man. And you guys can just do your show. Nobody's going to black out 5 minutes of it like they do to Brian's Horror Movie Club all the time on YouTube. It's just boom, black screen. You'll have to wait until we decide to put it back up. And 5 minutes later, it'll come back up, and then 10 minutes later, it'll go down again. And it's like, yeah, man, screw that. I'm tired of the overlords. Tired.
Yeah.
Live in America, free speech and all that. As long as ain't nobody
something called like fair use laws don't really hold up today anymore either. Like when you're taking something and you're transforming it into something else, like that's a fair use of that. Like adding, technically, like even things like commentaries and talking about different aspects of it, especially in a way that's analytical or in a journalistic fashion. Those should all count under fair use, but they don't. It depends on who you are.
100%. Like I said, once you're monetized, then they put a bot on your channel. They start watching everything you do, everything you say, and you collect a whole lot more hate from the overlords. Right? Right now we're not going to do that on YouTube. We're just going to go to Roku and avoid that whole animal. Okay? Because too many people on the network depend on not getting taken down, and are going to depend on actual monetization, not fear of being demonetized all the time. We're going to eliminate that for our friends. So,
yeah.
Roku people, with that, I'm out of here. You can go for another 20 minutes or so if you want, and just let me know when you want me to start pushing buttons. Yeah,
I would love to go for another 20 minutes. Unfortunately, I gotta start hitting the books again if I have any hope of trying to finish this up.
Yeah, no, I think we're good, Pops. I think we're good. I got
buttons now. Then you go ahead and say your goodbyes, and then I'll push some buttons.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Well,
thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So Monday I'll have Chris. If you want to come on again Friday, come next Friday. Come do it with me again, man. And then hopefully
come here, Chris.
Maybe we'll even. Oh yeah. Maybe we'll even see each other next week if you're not too busy. Because I want to go over my restructuring of how I kind of want to do this from here on out with the comic stuff. So
maybe we could try it. I've shared a few other ideas with you. Maybe we could take a simpler one and see what happens. See how it plays out. Who knows? We'll make it happen.
I think I have a way to make everyone happy, which is kind of what I'm good at. So we'll see. But thanks for coming on, buddy. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you very soon. And on that, Pops, we're good, buddy. Take us out.
Have a great night, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Madness Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
The Civil War was America's bloodiest conflict. Over 500,000 died to preserve national unity. When the war ended, Confederates like Harley Brogdon headed west, shooting game for the Army and gambling. When a card game turns deadly, Harley shoots in self-defense, killing the card sharp who threw down first. Wilfred Knorr, the card sharp's wealthy father, will stop at nothing to see Harley hang. Harley flees to Cobb's Gap, an old silver mining town at the foot of the Rockies. A remarkably peaceful town, especially after dark. But the sheriff harbors a dark secret, and no one dares go into the mines anymore. Cobb's Gap is full of secrets. People speak in hushed tones of something in the mine. Something worse than their cursed sheriff. Something even the Indians fear from the deepest pits of hell. Every secret will be exposed. Bronze Star. Order your copy at bronzestarcomic.com.
Bringing you sex, sass, and style. Buckle up and unlock your imagination for a fun adventure with these death-dealing dames. They sail the galaxy in search of spoils. The most dangerous acquisition, and the most fruitful, are the legendary Splinters of Yggdrasil. The Splinters are magical artifacts forged from the Tree of Life that wreak havoc on the universe. The missions are perilous, but the bounty is glorious. Enjoy our hyper-fictional wonderland. How is a pirate ship sailing through space? 'Cause magic. How do they heal so quickly after battle? 'Cause magic. How are they able to communicate through jewelry? 'Cause magic. It's all about the characters. Abo, rough, robotic, ready. Mo, carefree, callous, courageous. Mistress Graven, daring, diplomatic, dominating. Betsy, academic, accountable, aristocratic. Nefara, ancient, assured, adrenaline junkie. Bruto, proud, prominent, protective. Fisty, independent, incendiary, invigorating. Roxy, superficial, scarred, secretive. Once you get to know this diverse crew of mythical miscreants, you'll be anxious to find out what trouble they'll get into on the next episode. Go to abogrizzly.com and order both halves of the first episode today.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the... where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz hands. Jazz hands are done.